let us talk about DNA packaging. Right, children, you know what is packaging, right? When you make a bigger substance, if you talk about DNA, DNA is a larger molecule, and this large molecule is fitted inside, or it is put inside a smaller organelle, correct? And for that, to accommodate that big DNA into that particular small nucleus, it needs to be packed, correct? So DNA is a very big molecule, right? The size is very big, some 2.2 meters long. DNA has to be put into a nucleus which is 10 raised to power minus 6 meters small, correct? So you know that the 2.2 meters is a big molecule, whereas the size of the nucleus is just 10 raised to power minus 6, correct? So a small nucleus is there, whereas the DNA is big, and so the DNA has to be packed in order to fit into that small space, correct? So we are going to learn the packaging of DNA. We are going to learn the packaging of DNA both in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. First we learn the packaging of DNA in prokaryotes, correct? So prokaryotes, as you know, they are the first form cells. They do not have a distinct nucleus. They do not have a distinct cell organelles. Means the organelles are not membrane bound, and so it is a primitive type of cell. So let us see how the DNA packaging takes place in the prokaryotic cell. Now what happens if we talk about, take an example of a prokaryote. Let's take an example of E. coli bacteria, correct? If you see the size of the bacteria, it is just 2.3 micrometers small. It is a very microscopically small bacteria, right? It does not have a well organized nucleus. So if you try to find a nucleus in that bacteria, you are not going to find it, because the DNA is not packed inside the nucleus, right? There is no nuclear membrane, right? So the nucleoid, right, then the genetic material or that DNA is called as a nucleoid. It is small, it is circular, it is highly folded, and it is a naked ring of DNA, and the ring of DNA is very big. It is 1100 micrometers big molecule, right? So how is the DNA inside the prokaryote? It is small, it is circular, highly folded, it is naked because it does not have a nuclear membrane of its own. It is a naked DNA, but the length of the DNA is 1100 micrometers long DNA, that is correct. So if you try to put this big molecule into that small cell, it is difficult, right? So in order to put this big molecule into that small cell, the DNA undergoes packaging, right? Let us talk about how the DNA gets packed, right? So this DNA of that prokaryotes are having some 4.5 million base pairs. You know that the ATGC are the base pairs, and how many such base pairs are present in prokaryotes? It is 4.6 million, and that makes the DNA of the prokaryotes very big. So let us talk about how the packaging is done, right? That 1100 micrometers long DNA has to be put into a cell which is just 2.3 micrometers small. So very large molecule has to be put into a very small cell. So how is that done? Let us see. The negatively charged DNA, the DNA is always negatively charged. That negatively charged DNA, right, first becomes circular, right? So if you see, that is the negatively charged DNA, it first becomes circular. So as and how it becomes circular, the size of it gets reduced to 350 microns. So the size was, or the length was 1100 micrometers long. Now the length has reduced to 350 microns because the DNA has become a circular DNA, right? Then that circular DNA gets folded, correct? The circle gets converted into folds, and nearly it forms some 40 to 50 folds, or we also call them as loops. Now, forming this circular DNA, when undergoes folding and looping, the size of it further reduces. They become more smaller in the size. Correct? Then it undergoes further coiling and supercoiling. Now, each loop undergoes coiling. You saw that the circular DNA, it got coiled, and now it is getting supercoiled. That means each loop is in turn getting coiled, making that DNA further more smaller. Correct? So, further coiling and supercoiling takes place, and it reduces the size of the DNA to 2 micrometers. Now see, initially the size was some 1100 micrometers. So the circling reduced the size to 350 micrometers. Further looping and folding reduced the size, and supercoiling and looping, right, coiling and supercoiling further reduced the size to just 2 microns. Correct? Now this 2 micrometers size of DNA can fit into this particular cell. Correct? So packaging is assisted with positively charged histone molecules. Now if you have to supercoil the DNA, it has to be packed, right? So if you talk about this coiling, the histone proteins are present here, which packs the coiling. Correct? So for packaging, as if you are packing a TV set, you will have to use thermocol on all the 4 sides, right? If you have to pack a DNA, what you will have to do, you have to use histone protein, and on that histone protein the DNA is bounded, or it is folded on that histone proteins. So it gives a stability to that particular structure, right? It is also having enzymes, right, during the packaging. The packaging also requires certain enzymes, and the enzymes are the enzyme DNA gyrase and DNA topoisomerase are the enzymes used in this packaging process. So this in short is how the long prokaryotic DNA is put into a small prokaryotic cell that is just 2 to 3 micrometers small or microns small. Let us learn about packaging of DNA in eukaryotic cells. Now you know that eukaryotic cells are more complex cells, right? And so the packaging in this packaging of DNA in this particular cells is again a little bit more complex than the packaging of DNA in the prokaryotic cells. Now packaging of DNA in eukaryotic cells, if we talk about eukaryotes, they have well organized nucleus. They have a well developed nucleus. Nucleus is having a nuclear membrane, and inside the nucleus you find thread-like material, and that thread-like material is called as chromosome. So if you talk about eukaryotic cell, it is having a well-organized or well-formed nucleus. Nucleus has a nuclear membrane, and inside the nuclear membrane there is a thread-like structure, and that thread-like structure is called as a chromosome. Correct? So as you already know that DNA in eukaryotes is 2.2 meters long, right? It is 2 meters and 2.2 meters long, and the eukaryotic nucleus is very small. It is as small as 10 raised to power minus 6 meters, isn't it? So DNA is associated with histone and non-histone proteins. In eukaryotic cells, the DNA is always accompanied with, or it is always associated with, or it is always with the histone and non-histone proteins. So if you talk about DNA in eukaryotic cell, it will always have the histone and non-histone proteins which are associated with it. Correct? So the proteins acquire charge. Now the proteins are charged. The proteins in the packaging of DNA, the proteins that are involved, they are positively charged. And how do they get this charge? Let us find out. The proteins acquire the charge depending upon the abundance of amino acid residues with the side chain. Now the protein is having side chains, and the amount of amino acids residues that are present on the side chains decide the charge of the protein. So if you talk about histone proteins, right, those are the proteins which are associated with DNA in eukaryotes. The histone proteins are rich. They show a large amount of the amino acid which is called as lysine and arginine, right? So lysine and arginine are present in abundance in a large amount in an eukaryotic histones or eukaryotic histone protein residues. So and lysine and arginine are the basic amino acids, and so they carry the positive charge. So the proteins which are associated with the DNA are having a positive charge because of the presence of abundance of the basic amino acids, that is lysine and arginine. Correct? That is how they get their positive charge. Whereas if you talk about the DNA, it is negatively charged. The DNA is negatively charged. So the histones are positively charged because of the basic proteins, that is histones plus protamines, and that is why the histones or the proteins called as histones are positively charged. Histones organize themselves to make a unit of 3 molecules. Now 8 histone molecules come together to form a unit. So if you talk about histone molecules, this is the first histone molecule, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the 8 histone molecules come together, correct? Together to form a unit, right? They form a unit, and that unit is called as a histone octamer. So when the histones come together, 8 histones, 4 different types of 8 molecules of histones when come together, they form a structure which is called as histone octamer. Negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer. So if this is an histone octamer, right, it is a group of 8 histone molecules. If this is an octamer, the DNA is wrapped on it, correct? So as it is, if you take a ball and if you cover it with a thread, you are wrapping the ball with the thread, correct? Now histone molecules form a ball-like structure, and on that the negatively charged DNA gets wrapped up. Now the DNA, the wrapped up DNA along with the histone, that is the octamer histone molecule, is together called as nucleosome, right? The DNA or the histone octamers, and when they are wrapped with the protein, when they are wrapped with the DNA plus the histone octamers are together called as nucleosome. Now this nucleosome or this octamer of nucleosome is called as the core or the central part of the nucleosome. This core is made up of 2 molecules of H2A, correct? 2 histones molecules of H2A, 2 histone molecules are of H2A type, 2 histone molecules of H2B type, 2 molecules of histones are of H2 type, 2 molecules of histones are of H4 type. So together that is 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, it is 8 molecules, right? And one more histone molecule is present through which the DNA enters and the DNA exists after binding the octamer. That particular histone molecule is called as, it is a single molecule of histone, and it is H1 molecule. Now the nucleosome has or it is having some 200 base pairs of DNA. So each nucleosome, right, this is a nucleosome, right, and this nucleosome is having 200 base pairs of DNA, right, out of which 46 base pairs are covering the histone proteins, and this is a linker DNA which is made up of some 54 base pairs. Together the linker DNA plus the DNA that is wrapped around the histone octamer is 200 base pairs, and this together is called as one nucleosome. So one nucleosome has nearly 200 base pairs of DNA. Nucleosomes are repeating units of chromatins which are thread-like or look like bead-on string structure. So if you look at the nucleosomes, they are repeating units. This is one nucleosome, second nucleosome, third nucleosome. So the nucleosomes are repeating units which are thread-like, and when you look at it, it appears as if it is beads, right? जसे काही धाग्यांमध्ये मोती टाकल्यागत भास होतो आणि म्हणून तो जो स्ट्रक्चर तयार होतो त्याला आपण बीड ऑन स्ट्रिंग असा स्ट्रक्चर म्हणतो. करेक्ट? The double helix DNA of 200 base pairs are wrapped around the nucleosome in 1 and 1/3 turns, right? So nucleosome चा जो ऑक्टोमियर असतो त्याच्यावर डीएनए चा एक कंप्लीट टर्न बसतो आणि दुसरा टर्न जो आहे तो फक्त 1/3 असतो, राइट? सो डीएनए रॅप करताना एक कंप्लीट टर्न ते ऑक्टोमियर सभोवती होतो, हिस्टोन ऑक्टोमर सभोवती, आणि दुसरा टर्न मात्र फक्त 3/4 आहे. Correct? 6 such nucleosomes get coiled and form a solenoid. So हे 3 nucleosomes काढले मी, आणखीन 3 nucleosomes जर ऍड झाले तर हे स्ट्रक्चर आणखीन कॉइल्ड होतं आणि तेव्हा आपण त्याला सोलोनॉइड स्ट्रक्चर असं म्हणतो. सोलोनॉइड जर बघायचं झालं तर जुन्या काळचे जे टेलिफोन्स होते त्यांच्या रिसिव्हर्स जे होते त्याला जी वायर होती ती कॉइल्ड वायर होती आणि त्याला आपण सोलोनॉइड स्ट्रक्चर म्हणू शकतो. क्रोमॅटिन पॅक्ड इन सोलोनॉइड स्ट्रक्चर इज 30 nanometers in diameter. So the size of the chromosome has reduced because of the packaging, because of the formation of nucleosome, and it has become just 30 nanometers, or which is nearly 300 angstrom in its diameter. Then it further coils to form a loop, right? After this it again coils, and now the coiling gets converted, or a loop is formed, and when the loop-like structure is formed, it is called as chromatin fiber. It further coils and condenses. The chromatin material again coils and supercoils, and it becomes condensed. Correct? The large molecule slowly becomes smaller, and now it is called as chromosome. The packaging of chromatin at higher level needs additional proteins. So if higher level packaging has to be done, some additional proteins are required, and those are called as non-histone chromosomal proteins, or they are also known as NHC. Students, let's understand heterochromatin and euchromatin region of a chromosome, right? So if you see or observe a chromosome in its interphase or in its early prophase, you see that the chromosome shows, right, a darker region and a lighter region, right? If you stain or if you put a dye on the chromosome, the regions of the chromosomes will be highlighted. The regions of the chromosome which are darkly stained are called as heterochromatin region, whereas the regions of the chromosomes of chromonemata or chromatin that is lightly stained, right, हलकासा कलर जर ज्याला आला असेल तर ते आहे euchromatin. Now condensed part of the chromonemata of the chromosome, right? Heterochromatin, right? It is a condensed part of a chromosome or chromonemata. So if you see the chromosome at early prophase or even in interphase, the chromosome appears highly condensed in some regions, whereas in some region it does not appear to be highly condensed. So this region is called as heterochromatin region, whereas this region is called as euchromatin region. Correct? So condensed part of the chromonemata or chromosome is called as heterochromatin region. So more condensed, you can see more coiling, and the coils are very close to each other, right? It appears that the coils are packed together, right? Such regions of the chromosomes is called as highly condensed region, and that is called as heterochromatin, whereas the part which is loosely condensed, right? Condensation is not seen, right? That loosely packed area of the chromosome is called as the euchromatin region. Correct? Now let us talk about heterochromatin regions. They are localized at centromeres, at telomeres, and also intercalated. So if you watch the chromosome, if you observe the chromosome, where will you find the heterochromatin? You will find the heterochromatin around the centromeres. Correct? If you know the chromosomes, right? So if this is a chromosome, correct? So around the centromeres you will find the condensation or the heterochromatin region. That is, here you will find an heterochromatin region. You might find it at telomeres. Correct? You may also find the heterochromatin region in between also. Correct? So heterochromatin regions are seen at centromeres, at telomeres, and also intercalated. This heterochromatin are genetically non-active regions or less active regions or inactive regions of the chromosomes. Right? These are not the active parts of the chromosome. They stain strongly and appear dark. So they absorb the stain, get strongly stained, and so that region of the chromosome appears to be very, very dark. Right? It has 2 to 3 times more DNA than the euchromatin region. As you can see, the amount of DNA here is more, here the DNA is less. So the amount of DNA is more at heterochromatin region and less in euchromatin region. Correct? So let us talk about euchromatin. It gets lightly stained, right? It gets a very light stain, and so you can easily identify that region as euchromatin region. It is genetically more active, right? Genetically, if you talk about expressing the trait, is the work of this region. Correct? This is the region which is going to express the character or trait. Euchromatin is transcriptionally more active, right? Euchromatin, this region of euchromatin, it allows transcription. Transcription means to copy, right? So whatever is written on the chromosome can be copied on an mRNA, right? In which region of the chromosome? In euchromatin region of the chromosome. Whereas the heterochromatin is transcriptionally inactive. So children, this differentiation is many a time asked in exams, that whether you understand the heterochromatin and euchromatin region of the chromosomes. You should be able to differentiate it properly.